Oh shit indeed. What up, Deutsch baby? How you doing? Good to see ya. It's your boy. We about to crash and burn some shit, friends. I, as you know, am not a helicopter pilot. Not even really a real pilot in general. And these things are really fucking hard. This is the Hughes 500. Deutsch actually recommended this for me. I didn't know that this was a thing. And if you get it, there is a realism mod, which actually makes it pretty cool. The first one, the general like base model, is really easy to start up. Still hard to fly, but the new one, or with this mod, is pretty cool. It's super easy to hot start, which I've done about 800 times until I figured out how to actually start the thing. But we should be good now. We'll see. Might have to do some aircraft reloading in one way or another. Let's get in. We're in Albuquerque. This is what we're working with today. Send the donations to Deutsch today. Yeah, just skip me straight to D-Bag. Little Dutch baby. If you want, if you got it, you want to jump in here, I can get on X-Pilot. I doubt anyone's online because it's first thing in the morning. But we are in a Class Bravo. I'm at Albuquerque. Anyway, so here's what you do. Here's what we're going to do. First thing, if you look down at the collective and the throttle, make sure that's all the way down. It is. This little thing is a spring-loaded feature. Let's line this up there. Click that. So this is the fuel cutoff. When this is up, the fuel is cut off. That's where we want it. That's how you get hot starts, I guess. So close the door. Come down here. Battery on. Auto reignition on. Fuel pump, and look at the anti-collisions so people know we about to start. No, we need to be on 1200. The sound's not incredible in this one. After we crash this one, probably switch to the Huey for a little while because I'm more familiar with that one. Anyway, so let me double check, make sure the flight model is on 4 frames. Needs to be on 4 frames. There we go, done. What we're gonna do, we're going to hold the start button, which I've got bound down here, and we're going to watch the temperature come up. We don't want it to stay above this thing for more than 10 seconds, or 9 seconds. That's how you get hot starts. Once we get the N2 down here around 15%, then we'll introduce fuel, and we're watching the temperature gauge there to make sure everything is working properly. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Here we go. Nothing happened. It'll probably help if I turn the ignition on. There we go. Let's try this one more time. There she goes. I'm looking for 15%. Click it. Watching the temperature. This is the critical phase right here. Alright, didn't get up above the red dot. It's starting to come back down. And once we get into the green range on the RPM, then I'll release the starter button. There we go. And waiting for the RPMs to stabilize too. What we want, we're going to creep the RPMs up here, this little green line right there, and then we'll turn on the governor, and that will control the RPMs for us. Then basically all we have to do is worry about the collective. Also, I can get the generator going as well over there. Turn off the fuel pump, and we'll start creeping the RPM up here. A little high. Come on back down. So that's good, kind of stable there. We turn the governor on, that's going to keep it right where we need it to be. Now all we have to do is worry about flying this thing, which, as you know, I am shit at, so why is the generator light still on? Generator. Generator, why? I've done screwed something up, or plane screwed up. Get our altimeter here real quick too while we're thinking about it. Albuquerque 3008. Not sure what's up with the attitude indicator. There we go. Utility power was what we needed. Alright, let's give this a go. Get ready for some laughs. Alright, bringing the collective up a little bit of left rudder, I think. I can never remember. No, the Huey, it's left rudder. And a little back pressure, yeah. Left rudder forward. Oop. And we'll try to get it out to the runway. A lot of frustration with helicopters for me. Landing is still the hard part. I mean, takeoff is wobbly, just wait till you see me try to land this thing. No idea what the wind's doing today, we'll just take off and go this way. Also, a lot of trimming. Always, always, always trimming. Alright, we made a runway, kinda hover taxi. Alrighty. Cyclic can come forward a bit, and I'll start trimming it out actually, and bring it a little bit more collective. Trim, trim. I want the nose forward. And we're kind of flying. So far, so good. Yeah, the landing, like I said, that's always a tricky part. Because there's this period where once you get down towards the ground, when you're reducing the collective, you go from giving it right rudder to left rudder. And so it's really hard to hover. All that kind of stuff. But like I said, I'm getting better at it. It looks really cool. Yeah, for this one, apparently on the left. So it feels very American to me. It's not like the Huey, which feels like I'm flying British trash. I'm not sure why they do that though. I mean, I understand that the collective is on the left, so it kind of makes sense that you would be on that side, but why on this helicopter does the pilot sit on the left? I watched some videos to figure out how to start the thing too, because I kept lighting the engine on fire and the pilots were on the left. Alright, so we're gonna do a little J-turn here, so I'm gonna bring the collective down a bit, trim the nose back up, start slowing down. And a little bit of roll trim, and left rudder. Alright, here's where I always fuck it up. Try to put it down on the runway at some point. So this one you can actually see the feet moving the rudder pedal, so you can see what I'm doing, or what I'm fighting against. It's just so hard to slow him down. I want to be able to eventually get to the point where you can do that kind of combat landing, where you know, come in fast and just bring the nose up and kind of hover it, but I am very far from that. I'm still trying to slow this fucker down. Come on, baby. Yeah, once again, all donations please directly to Deutsch. Right. Oh god. Oh, little firm. Buddy, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. We'll watch a little replay of that. That wasn't my worst landing to date. I have done worse. And you'll probably see worse if you hang out for a bit. Probably at some point looks like I knew what I was doing there. See, the problem is, even what happens if I bring the collective, I'll try it again, and so I might end up crashing here, but if you drop the collective completely, that's when you start to lose your lift, and then you can pull back on the stick to slow the helicopter down without gaining a lot of altitude, and then you just, after you bleed off that speed, it just drops like a rock. Little firm. Yeah, I'll try it again. I'll do what you're talking about. Go toggle takeoff number 2. A little smoother than the last one. I love when you can see the shadow. Trimming the nose forward, a little bit of roll trim. Start to release the left rudder. And you've got the turn coordinator is like really small, hard to spot there. So, and again, I said this to Melon, I'm familiar with the idea of how to fly these things, but in practical application, it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to say what to do than to actually do it. So we'll spin it around here, come in the same way that we just did, go back around the opposite way. And I'm going to do precisely what you're trying to say. It's just really hard to actually do without crashing. You get to this period, like once you start to bleed the speed off, it starts to sink really fast, and then you're trying to scramble to get more collective in, and that's usually when I crash. Hovering is also very hard, yeah. Also, I don't know what this is. This little building down here is a spawn point on this airport, and it just said laser facility. So I'm not sure what Albuquerque's got going on down here, but I like it. Alright, one more time. Start to drop the collect a little bit. Trim the nose up. A little bit of roll correction. And start spinning this around. Keep this speed, and then I'm going to drop the collective and try to do what you're saying without crashing. It's very difficult. Drop the collective, and you can see it starts to drop immediately. So that's 0 collective, and we're still moving forward, and if I pull back any more, we're going to start to gain altitude. So now I got to start adding collective back in before we start to drop like a rock. Do bleed off speed better that way, but it's just juggling, man. I don't know if I'm gonna fly later. I'm scheduled to fly at 1 p.m., but there's a low pressure front that I just moved through, so still overcast at the moment, but looking at the TAFs now, it's saying that it's gonna be pretty gusty later. And I got in a little bit of trouble for flying Sunday with the winds the way that they were, so I don't want to push my luck. But not bad. Yeah, I should be able to. I gotta, this is probably gonna be a short stream. I'll fly for a bit, but I need to look at the weather at around noon, which is about an hour from now, to figure out, because that's about when I have to leave to go to the airport. One more replay action. That wasn't too bad, but still not as aggressive as I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I wanted to get to that point where, like you see in the movies, where they come in real low and then just bring the nose up and kind of turn it into a hover. It looks cool though, man. It's such an iconic helicopter. That and the Huey. Also now I'm kind of looking at the Bell 412 and the can't remember which Jet Ranger version that they've got there. Those both look pretty cool. Once I get these down, it's just a totally different type of flying I'm not used to at all. Massive respect to helicopter pilots. I will probably never be one of you. Plus, it's basically the same amount of hours to get a private license, too, so I'm going to go through that with airplanes and then start again with helicopters. Nah, bruh. Nah. Cool livery though. I like that. I like the colors. I do not remember turning the landing light on. Oof. Alright. One more go. Man, I don't know if I want that kind of fire in my life, bruh. It's rewarding in a way that, I don't know, you get a good landing in an airplane and it feels pretty good, but just like taking off in a helicopter, like, yeah, I feel like a badass. Also, airplane's never gonna get boring. Flying is the bee's knees. Alright, let's make this one aggressive. There we go. Look at that. Steep turns, baby. Where were you flying? This? And how is it using a twist rudder? That seems like it'd be really hard. There's like so many control inputs on one axis. Alright. See some of the pilot shit, man. Here we go. Already starting to drop the collective a little bit. There's the runway. Alright, it's completely closed the collective right there. See, it doesn't, you still can't be very aggressive with the nose when you do that. I don't know how realistic this is, but track IR for 4. Isn't there one that can use like a webcam? I don't really need it for X-Plane, but yeah, I guess if you're into DCS, that's probably a must-have. Alright, please stop. Ooh. Firm again, jeez. Go back to the other takeoff. There we go. See, I'm not even sure I could put it on a helipad. At least not at this point. It's going to take me a while to get to that point. Because you got to be able to hover it and then hover taxi to the point. Like, man, that's hard. I need to find a helipad in the first place. I'm at an international airport. I'm not even sure there any are here. Oh yeah, I can imagine, particularly a helicopter this small. I actually loaded up near the Grand Canyon yesterday when I was practicing with it, and I just gave up because it was so windy. This is dumb. It's not, we're not doing anything here. It's not productive. fast forward. Let's see that landed. I gotta get one smooth one. I'll switch to the Huey. Look at that. Freaking sideways, baby. So you see the nose come down right there when I dump the collective. Let's see if there's a helipad that we can find somewhere around here. There's got to be one. I'll try to land on it. Oof. Yeah, I made custom profiles for all the different. I've got one for planes, and I've got one for each of the different helicopters. Because some of them, the throttles and stuff were backwards. Let's see if we can find a helipad. It's an airport. There's got to be a freaking helipad somewhere. How about just that circle down there? That looks forgiving enough. Let's go. Do another J-turn to swing this one around. I don't want to get too much momentum. Freaking helicopters, dude. Seriously, kudos and respect to actual helicopter pilots. Y'all crazy. It's looking pretty good so far. Find a way to screw it up. Yo. best one so far. Holy frick. Still wobbly, you know? It's like your brain's trying to figure out what to do on each of these individual separate axes. Humans not made to fly these types of aircraft. I guess at least in terms of bleeding speed, I think the thing that seems to be working the best are these J-turns. Just use all that momentum to spin back the other way. That worked out okay. That's such a cool looking helicopter, man. Screenshot. I'll do one more with this guy and then we'll switch over to the Huey for a bit. Do a little low-level flying here. Fly around and see what we can see around Albuquerque. Oh man, doing pretty good so far. This is fun. Well, like I said, landing is the hard part for me. We'll see what happens. I'll land this one. I'm gonna switch to the Huey. So looking for a suitable location. Big field right here. That's probably my size. Check some of these buildings over here. See if they got any helipads on the roof. That's fucking awesome. Bitches! Helicopters might become my new obsession, man. This is super cool. Just takes some getting used to. Fuel situation here. Oh, getting down there. So it looks fine. I mean, at this level, you can actually see the auto-gen. So some of the textures, because of ortho, are kind of muddy, but the buildings and stuff look good. Trees and all that kind of shit. Fly downtown, have a look at that. Oh, this looks fine to me. It's a flight simulator too. We can make it nighttime. Night always looks good, low level, just because of like the lighting and cars and all that kind of stuff. We got downtown here. Loop it. Alright, we'll loop it. Let's see. Get some altitude so we can get some speed. Climb and turn. We're about to switch helicopters anyway, so. Give it the old college try. Alright. Get a little forward airspeed here. Get the speed back up without dropping altitude here. We're still climbing. Here we go. Ooh, something happened. I'll land it and watch a replay. I don't know what that was. That was not a loop, I don't think. Or one of these fields down here. Definitely. Alright, let's see that replay. What was that thing even? Before or after? I think I'm still climbing here. The nose coming down. What? What? Well, it seems like it might have counted. So it went up and it just kind of stalled and then the nose came back down. And it wasn't pretty. Alright, let's go, let's change to the hue here. What kind of livery do we want to use? Civilian or military? Or police? Or UN? Oh, there's a lot. Look at this one. Nice and bright. This is the one that got me into helicopters in the first place. I really like the Huey. Again, super hard to fly, but it's cool. It sounds good. It looks good. That's more so than the Hughes 500 or the Little Bird or the OH6. Iconic. Leave the doors open too so we can hear that thump. Throw a couple people in the back. How much we got? 150 gallons. 1 point. That's more than enough. And I think I need to adjust the sounds. Let's go. Battery. Anti-collisions. Hydraulic force trim. Fuel. Double check the throttles are set here. Gotta get those doors open. Holy moly. Aren't you supposed to wear a mask or something? Once we get to 30%, 3,000 RPMs there, we can let go of the starter, inverter. Nothing on the annunciator panel. Yeah, buddy. Says probably a pretty good start. Probably should have had those on in the first place, eh? Start bringing the throttle up. And once you go full throttle, the governor takes over, so that kind of handles it. And we're ready to go. Try to do the same thing I did last time. We'll hover taxi out to this runway. Left rudder. Think back on the cyclic. Back into the left. Let's see what that does. Collective coming up. Oh yeah. Easy. A lot of left rudder. Jeez. Give it the old J-turn. Start bringing the collective up. Oh yeah, baby. Which is why you need the safety goggles. Fly down here and landed on this runway like we did with the Hughes. Those noises, man, that is so cool. Start to drop the cyclic. Step on the ball. That's like full closed. The cyclic is, well, the cyclic is your joystick. The collective I've got as throttle, and on the side of the throttle, there's like a little scrolly wheel that I've got for the throttle for RPM. So I guess if you don't have a throttle, what you could do, find like a key to throttle up a bit, and you can use that, because once you get to the full throttle, the governor takes over, and then you could use the sliding throttle on the base of the joystick, I guess, for collective, but it would be kind of hard because you'd have to have both your hands on that side at the same time. The only thing though is that the collective is so sensitive to input, and it might take some getting used to. Like, it's good to have the friction on the throttle for the collective, because you don't want to just accidentally drop it completely all at once. What's going on with my frame rate? The frame rate is kind of chunking at the moment. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Flying is hard, but particularly helicopters, dude, it is a whole different ballgame, huh? I feel like once you start to get the hang of it, though, and you can take off and land fairly competently without crashing, it makes you feel pretty good. Hell yeah, buddy. What kind of throttle and stuff are you gonna get? What control stick do you have now at the moment? I don't even think I've ever asked you that. Not too bad, I've had worse. Damn, well, it seems to be working okay. 14 years, that is good for a throttle, huh? Or a joystick. Let's do a little bit of low-level flying that we were doing a minute ago. Still, 12 years, that's a really long lifetime for a control stick. Particularly considering all the use. Little tower fly by. Oh boys, wake up. Replay that. Shift 5 is tower. Oh yeah. I'm afraid to even look and see what my collective flight time in X-Plane is. That's probably kind of depressing. I wish I had those hours in real life. That's what I had in Korea, and the plastic on the pedals feels kind of cheap, but they work really well. And I like the joystick overall, particularly for a budget. Plus, look, that's what Melon has. Aiden uses it as well. If there did, until he turned into a fancy boy. Let's get on that river. Charlie. Dude, I love the sounds of this thing. That was awesome. What the fuck, man? Where'd the river go? It's a little smaller here. The other thing about helicopters that I really like is that, you know, so often when people are in flight simulators, you basically get up to a couple thousand feet or whatever your cruise is going to be doing your cross-country trip, and you just put the autopilot on. I'm looking out the window, but this is, I mean, you could, I guess technically you could hand over the control to your co-pilot, but what's the point? I mean, this is about as stick and rudder as you can get, particularly for a flight simulator. This is awesome. 10 out of 10, guys. Try out the helicopters. Once you get over the initial frustration. Alright, see ya. Power lines. And back down. take this thing back to the airport and call it a day. And go do a little group flying with some friends. See what the weather in Atlanta's doing. If I can fly in real life. Ooh, a train. Alright, detour. What's up, dudes? I'll just land on this runway, give us some time to slow down. Plus, I think the place where we took off is on this runway. Try to get it back there, one piece. I don't know what's causing my frame rate to drop like this. Put it over here and call it a day, jeez. Yep, have a good one. See ya. boys, I'm out of here. Might go fly some real airplanes. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching Deutsch. I might see you in a minute. Actually, let's take a look and see what's going on here in Atlanta. Can we fly today? Current METAR. Oh, you have to say no. Winds 230 at 11 knots. And ceiling is 800. So probably not going to be flying Deutsch. I'll message you in a minute. We'll do a little group flight action. Guys, everybody else, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you later. Love ya. Mean it.